Advice from a 61-year-old man. So I don't know about you, but I find that we humans tend to be really complex, actually, or at least we make things complex and often come across as unnecessarily hostile. And then to top it all, we then try blame everyone else for this complexity when things go wrong. Think about that for a moment, because life could be a lot simpler and much more tranquil if we let it. And it starts with us, actually. Because thinking back, when I was much younger, I was always too quick, I guess, to judge other people. And if they did things that irritated me, and I got to admit, I often got irritated, well, I would usually tell them off. It's as if I was seeking flaws in everyone else, and maybe so as to hide my own, who knows. I think we would probably all coexist much more peacefully if for one we just let people be who they want to be, who they are, and let them make their own decisions in life. Don't you think? But yeah, of course, we got to be ready to help them when they ask for help, or when we see things that are going, horribly wrong for them. But it would be good at the end of the day to be less quick to judge others and first seek to understand what's going on in their lives. Otherwise, we risk creating this sort of upward spiral of tension in the air, and that's in no one's interest. Now, I'm guessing you've been in the situation, more than once, that you see someone doing something in front of you that maybe it irritated you, which, they ended up doing it for an entirely different reason than you assumed that it would be, or that you assumed it to be. Let's face it, we rarely truly understand the circumstances in front of us, what is really going on and what people are going through. Yet we are often too quick to react negatively when they do something that irritates us. Or on the other side, we walk past someone doing something that we look down upon, yet not really understanding why they are doing it. Now, I hope you can relate to what I'm saying, and that maybe it's not a bad idea to judge less. Life is actually full of these paradigm shifts. And if we try to better understand what is really going on, we would for sure be more forgiving and compassionate. Wouldn't you agree? I think in the end, judging others blindly simply makes us blind. Everyone around us has something going on in their lives, and just as our own faces, their faces are not faces without hope. There's an inner beauty, if you like, in all of us, including you actually, but it's often hidden by the challenges that we face in life on a daily basis. Because those challenges, they can really weigh us down and suck our energy and prevent us from getting out into the light, if you like. So instead of judging, we should always try and see the beauty in the people all around us, and in animals, and in nature for that matter. So I really hope you will agree that every living thing on this planet has something positive to contribute in their own unique way. And that is the beauty of this wonderful ecosystem that we are a part of. After all, we live in a interconnected and interdependent ecosystem. I got to admit, I was amazed when I first learned, for example, that the dust from the Sahara Desert actually feeds the Amazonian rainforest every year. It's incredible to think that this fine desert dust travels thousands of miles across the ocean, and that dust is essential for sustaining the rainforest. That's like a wow moment for me. And there are plenty of such examples. This interdependency means that we humans have the power to make a positive impact, which is a wonderful thing. A tiny part maybe, but a really impactful part. And the good thing is, though, we should be using, or the thing is, we should be using this power much more for the greater good, and not just to satisfy our own egos in our search for fame and fortune. I guess that these things, or may be nice to have for some of you, but if you think about it, it's actually us humans that tend to create the ugly in our quest to build our egos and to have more for ourselves and putting our comforts first. And this then actually reflects in the way we treat and judge each other, most of the time with actually very little or no empathy at all, without understanding, and that makes us really quick to label. I admit I myself have been guilty of, as charged, reflecting back on my regular business trips that I used to do. I hated myself for getting quickly irritated with shrieking babies or young toddlers throwing tantrums on the flights that I was going on, because I saw it as invading the tranquil space that I was looking to create for myself. Shame on me actually for not understanding, which I do now, how difficult it is for parents with young kids especially, going on these long haul flights or trips. I wish I had instead offered to help, and my apologies if you were one of those parents. And as I think about this, I think also how it is in the animal world, because if you look at the animal world, animals coexist and even show kindness to those of another species who are in need. They actually recognize their common needs and are open to live in each other's world. I'm not sure if it's an emotion in the animal world, but I don't think that animals hate each other. And they don't let themselves, I guess, be blinded by their differences and how they look or how they act. In their own way, they respect each other for their uniqueness and for their differences. And amazingly, actually, also towards us humans. If you haven't done so already, I highly recommend that you do yourself a favor and watch the documentary, My Octopus Teacher, because, oh my goodness, I found it amazing and enlightening to realize that an octopus can actually build a bond with a human being. And I guess we could learn a lot from the animal world if we choose to. I, for one, have never really labeled people, because, or at least tried not to, because at the end of the day, what I see in front of me is a person with a name with whom I connect in one way or another, irrespective of their nationality or gender or race or religion or how they look or their body shape or their eccentricities or whatever. Most of these are just labels that we put on people, and oftentimes we use these labels to put ourselves on these artificial pedestals. I'm not a fan of pedestals. Unfortunately, it's also the labeling that we have created that leads to incidences of bullying, for example, in the schools. And what we forget is that we're actually all a little weird at times, a little eccentric in one way or another. I certainly am, and if you dig deep, you will find your own little quirks. Because after all, it's our own experiences in life that shape us into who we are, into individuals with our own thoughts on how we view the world. That's what makes us unique and able to contribute to society in a positive way. But then, why are we not allowed or encouraged to embrace our uniqueness? So what if we are a little weird, a little creative, a bit unconventional, and sometimes messy, as long as we're always real, because that's what counts. What we also forget is that, and I quote, which is a quote that I saw from a great movie, sometimes it's the people who no one imagines anything of, that do the things that no one can imagine. And it also reminds me of a quote from one of my heroes, Nelson Mandela, when he said, "Our world is divided into wise people and fools divide themselves by race, color, gender, or religion. I choose wise anytime." And I've also been fortunate actually to have met people from all walks of life, having visited many countries. You know, when you do that, you realize that many people of these people have beautiful stories to tell about themselves, about their loved ones, and about their view of the world. So why not make the time to listen to them, to learn from them? You know, remember, we all have one thing in common, and that is that we are all uniquely different, experiencing different things and reacting differently to those experiences. So let's be more forgiving. Let's abandon our egos and show more empathy towards each other from time to time. You have the power to let it be so. Carpe diem.